sector, but also it's being done in conjunction with the private hospitals in the area, especially the private hospitals in Ongwediva that render specialized services. So there is a synergy in the utilization of the key services accordingly.
The International University of Management, a Namibian university dedicated to its people's future, a hub of abundant opportunities.
We are IUF for life. We are IUF.
Good evening and welcome to Today on One. I'm Maggie Forciero. In the news tonight, abortion debate continues in National Assembly. Bank of Namibia weighs in on local Bitcoin scam. Political parties are spreading misinformation on vaccines, says IPPR. Ours Primary School reaches out to the needy with feeding scheme. And round up Business on One, comments corner, sports and the weather. The Parliamentary Standing Committee on Gender Equality, Social Development and Family Affairs will, for the next 4 days, hold public hearings on 3 petitions received by the National Assembly on abortions to explore various stances on the legalization and non-legalization of abortion in Namibia.
Advocating for the decriminalization of abortion in Namibia, the Voices for Choices and Rights Coalition argued that the costs incurred to health facilities from treating medical complications as a result of unsafe abortions constitute a significant financial burden on the government, thus calling for the current law on abortion to be repealed and replaced with new legislation that uphold human rights and enable access to safe abortion services.
We have a population of 83% that use public health facilities, already burdened by so many other health needs. It will affect social and communal development. When we're looking at the number of girls that have fallen pregnant from teenage pregnancy, and we're looking at also them having to leave school, it affects their education, the health facilities that are not close by, that is not accessible. The maintenance grant, when in the case of rape or incest, the maintenance grant also will severely affect our welfare system once again through the Ministry of Gender. All of this needing taxpayer dollar once again to correct or to find a way to correct all of these issues that this act already brings.
Other members of the coalition raised concerns on gender and racial justice, gender discrimination and baby dumping, adding that emphasis should be placed on empowering the girl child to remain in school and the prevention of teenage pregnancies.
The religious argument that you are going to be confronted with and the moral argument is the question of fetal rights. Now the fetus is not a person. And what the religious rights is going to, or the fundamentalists, I should say, will try and argue here in front of you is that the fetus has a right. And our continued restrictive abortion law puts the right of a non-human being, because remember, the fetus is not a human being. And scientists are not decided or even agreed on when life really begins. And yet we are giving precedence to fetal rights over women's rights.
Then sometimes I'm asking myself, why is it that when I am raped and I'm allowed an abortion, the voices are quiet. Isn't it? Because it is an abortion. I am allowed an abortion because I was raped. I was allowed an abortion because there was incest. But no one asked where life starts and where life ends. No one asked that question. Yet the state allows abortion.
The committee raised a number of questions with regard to the decriminalization of abortions, such as at what point life is defined, the number of times one is allowed an abortion, and factors contributing to abortions.
I believe that the current processes that the government is having, it's having more a preventative message as measures, as we are always saying that prevention is better than cure. But when you are saying that we must allow abortion, I think it will put more about strains to the government because it's a procedure that needs doctors to go in. That is my understanding.
I think mine is the presenter was saying abortion is a right. Maybe just to quantify that statement, right to which extent, your rights starts where my rights ends in that context. And how do we define life? The other one I think was touched by my colleague. You are saying you have got 60,000 signatures. What is the significance of that number? What do we say? If you have got 60,000 and the other one has got 200,000, is it about numbers or what is it? I just want to understand. And maybe, yes, His Excellency is there. One day we have to pass laws to legalize abortion. People are dying because they have to go to dark corners. So whether it's legal or not, people are doing it. Are we saying? No. Are we saying because people are doing it, we should do it? No. Oh, that is what I want to understand. The code. Whether it is legal or not, people are doing it. And because people are doing it, let's make it right. Or let's legalize it. Or what are we saying? I want to understand.
Further engagement on the matter will continue with various institutions such as the Ministry of Health, the Ministry of Justice, the Namibian Medical Society, the Namibian Police, the Legal Assistance Center, the Office of the Ombudsman, United Nations agencies, and the Ministry of Education, from which a report will be compiled and tabled in Parliament, after which a decision will be taken.
Enjoy these fantastic mid-month savings only at Clicks until 20 October. Buy Clicks 2-ply toilet paper 18 rolls, $89.99 per pack. Buy Pampers Premium Care Pants Value Pack, 2 for $214 per pack and 1 for $230.99. Or buy Vaseline Body Lotion or Cream, 400 mils, 2 for $71. Clicks. Feel good. Pay less.
Nothing is too good for my daughter. Now here's the deal, Nambi. There's no playing around with other boys before your wedding. Do you understand me? It's the most important day of your life.
Nambi, baby, you have a face like a beautiful person. I got you this Virgin Mary necklace to protect your innocence.
Stupid man. We have loved each other since high school, and now you want to turn your back on me? All the plans we made, you just throw them away? And you want Nambi now? When I've always been there for you, Ziwa, do you understand? And she doesn't even love you. I wasted my time on someone like you.
Don't be like that, Jalia.
Love, everybody needs it. Love.
The Bank of Namibia has discovered fake news articles purportedly written by the Namibian newspaper and One Africa TV, in which President Harry Geingob is interviewed on the benefits of bitcoins. This, according to the bank, is a scam to defraud the public of their hard-earned money.
The corporate communications manager of the Bank of Namibia stated that according to a position statement published in 2018, the bank does not recognize the use or acceptance of cryptocurrency as legal cash in Namibia. Currently, the bank does not recognize cryptocurrency as a commodity and does not support their trading on any domestic or foreign financial market or currency exchange.
That the bank does not support any Namibian to trade or to exchange in crypto assets or to trade or to exchange or to invest in crypto assets. And if a Namibian citizen were to do so, they do so at own risk. That is the position that we have continued to emphasize since 2018. And as recently as about 2-3 months ago, the governor of the bank, Johannes Kabachap, also reiterated the same stance and also then indicated that the bank is also doing some background studies. And that is obviously informed by some latest developments that we are seeing globally that have to do with payment modes internationally. And therefore, the Bank of Namibia, as part of the Common Monetary Area arrangement, is also doing some sort of studies to inform its position. And once those studies have been finalized, we will also inform the public accordingly. But currently, the bank's stance is that it does not support any trading, any exchange of crypto assets within the country. What needs to come into mind really is the fact that, as I pointed out, we are seeing a quite number of these schemes that are springing up from time to time. What citizens need to remind themselves really is just what the law says. And if something is just too good to be true, it is good to be true. And therefore, don't even attempt to lose your money. Don't gamble with your hard-earned money, because we have seen a number of incidents where people have lost even their savings, their last savings, in some of the schemes, and they are crying to the Bank of Namibia to do something. And the problem is, unfortunately, we can't do a lot. And in terms of what is available to us, because then our hands are tied, because then you are coming to us after the fact, after you have invested, after you have lost your money. And therefore, there won't be any recourse to you.
With One Africa TV's logo and news team being used in the articles, the company's chief executive officer, Stefan Yuhu, said that people behind this want to attach the scam to trusted individuals and news sources in an attempt to trick the people into investing their hard-earned money.
I think we've seen that in more and more as we have fake news that people publish on specifically the digital platforms. They're looking to legitimize that fake news by attaching it to the name of something or someone who is trustworthy. So if we look at this case, and obviously they went to attach the story to the president, and then they looked for the trusted news sources in the country, so the media companies that have built the trust of audiences over a long time. And One Africa obviously is one of those, and that's why I think they went and they faked this interview with One Africa. So I think for everyone of us that are social media users, to not be scammed into these things, we have to pay attention to, well, is it a source of news that I can trust? Is it really coming from their profiles on social media platforms? And does it link through, does it tell the same story if I go to their website? I think this is a very important lesson for all of us, and I think that is the education that for us as media users in the 2020s, there is a lot of fake news, and one cannot trust what you see, and we all have to get into the habit of, when we see something, go to a different place, corroborate it, go to a third place to corroborate it before we start spreading the news, or before we act on it. And then, very importantly, never put your card details or financial details into a website that is not a bank or a trusted retailer where you can see the verifications and all the security certificates are in place.
The Bank of Namibia further states in its 2018 position paper on cryptocurrency that the public is reminded to refrain from cryptocurrency and related activities, since cryptocurrency could be used as a platform for illegal financial activities like pyramid schemes, unauthorized banking businesses, money laundering, terrorist financing, and proliferation activities which may be in contravention of the Banking Institution Act of 1998 as amended in the Financial Intellectual Act of 2012 respectively.
Get ready to enjoy Simba's sounds of flavor.
All Simba flavors. Let's roll. Liza, smoke beef. Kwenge vinegar. Shaya chocolate. Shakita mud. Ossa.
Together we roar because Simba roars with flavor.
Early this morning, woke up holding my head, hearing my heartbeat all night long. Shades of this motel keeping me in bed, reading the news, just trying to stay strong. I need to just get up, take a deep breath, keep it together, 'cause it's a beautiful day. Sun on my face, feeling okay. Don't let it get away. It's a beautiful day. Feel so proud, screaming out loud. It's a beautiful day. Beautiful day. Feel so proud, screaming out loud. It's a beautiful day.
Political parties, according to Frederico Links, a research associate at the Institute for Public Policy Research, are contributing to the dissemination of misinformation about the COVID-19 vaccines.
Misinformation has become a major public health hazard on a global scale, and Namibia has not been immune to the COVID-19 related disinformation epidemic, which has been magnified through social media networks and messaging apps. Frederico Links, the editor of the IPPR's Namibia Fact Check website, stated during a recent panel discussion on vaccination mandates that the IPPR has noticed political parties in Namibia continuously propagating anti-vaccine information through various online platforms.
I've seen the AR people spreading misinformation online on social media, and certainly the IPC and some of the senior people, even the head of the leader of the IPC, have spread some very problematic and questionable messages around vaccines and COVID-19. There's a problem within the ruling party. I mean, a lot of the voice notes that people are sending me are of ruling party functionaries on the ground in the regions going directly against what the ruling party government is saying on COVID-19 and specifically on the vaccines. I've received so many of these voice notes now from people on the ground, organizers, mobilizers, coordinators on the ground in various regions, especially across the northern regions, where they are just telling their local communities to not listen to what the government is saying. I mean, that's a big concern. And then, of course, I mean, you have factional issues that play into the whole anti-vaccine messaging, and we've seen this play out actually in the media as well, where vaccines have been publicly questioned on media platforms, through media platforms, by political actors with a factional bent to it. So I mean, this is happening. We haven't seen any consistent and comprehensive sort of vaccine positive messaging from any of our political parties.
Recently, international media revealed that a Russian marketing organization called Face proposed to pay social media influencers to promote misinformation regarding COVID-19 vaccines in order to erode public trust in Western vaccines. According to Diane Herbert from the Legal Assistance Center, who delivered a paper titled Vaccine Mandates, people purposefully propagate incorrect information in order to get clicks that can be paid for.
There was a study that was shown that much of the misinformation can be traced back to about 12 people who are getting money for the clicks. So let's not be naive. This is not public-spirited people who are spreading this information. It's people who've discovered that sensational-sounding stuff, the more outrageous, the more likely you are to get clicks that can be monetized. So I think we have to also acknowledge it's not a debate between public-spirited people on both sides. It's a lot of people who have started this spiral of misinformation for personal gain. So for me, I'm sympathetic to people wanting to do vaccine mandates, but I also think consultation and support and encouragement and information is where our number one emphasis should be.
The spread of COVID-19 related misinformation and disinformation is illegal under the Public Health COVID-19 General Regulations, and persons who distribute false information about the pandemic might face criminal charges and a fine of 2,000 Namibia dollars.
Ours Primary School in the capital embarked on a gardening project that is now contributing towards the school's feeding scheme. The gardening project feeds about 600 vulnerable children on a daily basis.
Ours Primary School is a recipient of an initiative by the Namibian Agronomic Board that provided funds to advance their garden project earlier this year. The acting principal of Ours Primary School explained the crucial role gardens play at a school. On a tour at their garden, she stated that gardening projects are crucial as they enhance the knowledge and skills of learners when it comes to agriculture and growing their own food.
It's for teaching brackets, teaching agriculture, and the mostly important thing is to feed our learners at school. Which learners are we feeding? The OVC. We have got plus minus 600 learners that we are feeding on a daily basis. Why did we come up with this initiation? We have seen that our learners, they come to school hungry every now and then. So we decided that why don't we feed these kids with a warm soup once in a week or twice in a week. Why I'm saying once in a week or twice is because we normally used to get maize meal from the Minister of Health. So we felt that we cannot keep feeding learners with porridge every day. So at least we are adding nutrients. We have to come up with a balanced diet whereby if in 2 weeks, in a week, we have to have a nice soup whereby we prepare the carrots, we prepare the potatoes, spinach, then we make that warm soup for our learners. So the impact that this garden has done to our school feeding program, this is like we don't have to go out and buy. We are not just only coming in our garden, we harvest, we take straight to our soup kitchen. And as you look at these vegetables, they are fresh, they are organic, no chemical was mixed in, so they are really 100% healthy.
Mutanumia further said that the garden also helps to contribute to the school feeding program, hence it meets the government relief food program halfway.
When it comes to the school garden, I will encourage my fellow teachers just to take an initiation. You take this on your own. There are risks involved. So what you have to do, you have to have that passion for gardening. You have that passion. Once you have that passion, you will be able to have a nice and a beautiful garden like this. And you need to be committed. A garden is like a baby. You have to come here early morning. You do your checkings to see if there are pests, is the water running accurate. So there are a lot of things that are involved there. You need to be committed to your work. You need to be a hard-working person, not a person who should be pushed. You have to do it from your bottom of your heart, on your own. So I'm calling all my fellow teachers. This gardening, it doesn't mean that if I'm a teacher, I cannot touch the soil. No, you have to come here and work with your learners. And the other thing, what is there, It doesn't matter if you know agriculture. It doesn't matter that you must have qualification to become an agriculture person. If you know, just come on board, aid your school, put your school on the market, do something for your school. So these things that sometimes we used to say agriculture is the dirty work for old people. No, it doesn't mean like that. Even a clean person, a minister, whoever he is, he has to eat from the garden. The food that we are eating, they are coming from where? They are coming from the garden.
The principal encouraged other schools that do not have gardens to take up the challenge and start with their own gardens. The remainder of the produce from the garden is sold to the community. The money from the sale of the produce caters for input costs such as seeds for the garden and other needs at the school.
Remember the mission, yeah, revisualize the vision, connected the journey, stir early, step one, step two, next step, restart at the beginning of what I'm feeling, the future we believe in, let's start dreaming, NAMIBIA, no matter what they say, we here to stay, so find believers just like you, hand in hand, this is what we do. More steps, yeah, we get through, let's go. Start again, you can. You connected to the world, yeah, we stand. Determined to move on hand in hand. Put the switch on, a new reform, let's rise. Together we rise. MTC, make the connection.
In other leading stories, the government of the United States last week through its Namibia Adherence and Retention Project made a donation of 100 footballs, 24 whistles, 2 goal nets, 2 stopwatches and 20 chessboards to learners of the Moses van der Bell Primary School in Karutura and 7 other Koma schools. This is one of 7 donations to 6 regional education officers countrywide in support of a curriculum called Coaching Boys into Men that helps to prevent HIV infection, sexual violence and early sexual debut among boys aged 9 to 14. Speaking at the handover, the acting U.S. head country representative Mark Anthony White said that they are proud to be part of the initiative that will reach over 7,200 boys in the next 12 months and help prevent sexual violence, delay sexual debut and prevent HIV. Training coaches and sports teachers will use the donated equipment in primary prevention program sessions. Koma's Director of Education, Arts and Culture, Paulus Ngikembwa, urged other organizations to follow the example of the project as part of their social responsibility. Nedbank Namibia, in collaboration with Symphony Storm, recently hosted the Pandanomics, a webinar at which experts discussed the effects of the COVID-19 pandemic on the economy. The panelists included Nedbank Group South Africa Senior Economist Nikki Weimar, Head of Nedbank Namibia Corporate and Investment Banking Edward Turner, Symphony Storm Economist Theo Klein, as well as Symphony Storm Managing Director Bruce Hansen. Highlights from the presentation included job losses. A total of 13,600 Namibians were retrenched between January 2020 and June 2021. Of this figure, 10,700 were retrenched due to economic reasons, with the closure and discontinuation of businesses. Some of the factors raised that could lead to short-term economic growth include a higher than average rainfall season, a strong focus on renewable energy, as well as an increase in the number of people being vaccinated.
And welcome to the She Word, the show where we discuss trending topics amongst women across Africa. Girl, 7 years old. Do you know why you're here?
In 1997, I was filmed by an American news crew at the place I was being held. A shrine run by a priest dedicated to the worship of deities. I was labeled a Trikoshi, a wife of the gods, paying for a crime committed by a family member.
The purpose of sharing my story was to say, you know,
you may have gone through something, a traumatic experience, you are still able to have life. You have life, you can live life, you can contribute to society, and that's what it should be about. It's not really about like victimizing or because I honestly don't like watching it.
Joseph Shufeni is standing by for today's Business on One.
Welcome to this evening's edition of Business on One. I'm your host, Joseph Shifeni. The Namibia Students Financial Assistance Fund Acting Chief Executive Officer has reiterated their call on former beneficiaries to repay the loans that they have received from the institution over the years. Kennedy Kandume said the fund is currently out over $5 billion, and because of this, the fund continues to be dependent on state coffers.
The Namibian Student Financial Assistance Fund delivered laptops to the needy students last week. At the occasion, the Acting Chief Executive Officer Kennedy Kandume took the time to elaborate on why they continue to function as a revolving entity that is entirely dependent on the state for financial support. He added that they have recently launched a recovering campaign that is reaching out to those that have failed to meet their obligations and pay back the money.
Our message is clear, to say for your sisters and brothers who are still in secondary school to benefit, you have to repay. People should not be selfish, that they benefited from themselves through this government funding, but they know clearly from the beginning that what they are signing for is a loan, and by its nature, if it ends the term loan, it is repayable.
The acting CEO said the fund has settled the fees for continuing students and its current intakes for the year 2021 as verification is nearly complete.
When it comes to the new intake, there's a process to follow this. Of course, you apply, you get notification and so on, you engage in the contracting with us. Only once you sign the contract, marriage contract for that matter, then your fund can be dismissed. So what has been happening is that you find a back and forth of contract. The student sign a contract is not valid. They have to be verified before funds can be dispersed. So, but I'm happy to announce that the majority of the new intake is now the new students and public sign their contract, and some of them have received their money. But like I said, this process also still involves that the fact that you have applied does not necessarily mean you turn up the institution for any postulate. That verification also have to be done.
Kandume expressed appreciation towards the government for having delivered allocated funds to the institution, for allowing it to fulfill its mandate.
Thank you for watching. Join me again next time, and don't forget to follow us on our social media pages.
Are you a CMAS member? Did you know that should you need medical treatment, you have access to quality private hospitalization, guaranteed specialist treatment in private hospitals across Namibia with Compliment Gap? Compliment Gap is a complimentary product for CMAS members only, which covers the shortfall between what CMAS pays and private hospitals charge. You and your family have more than 2 million in medical gap cover per year at a very affordable price. That's not all. You also have access to emergency evacuation within Namibia and $10 million international travel cover for those unforeseen events abroad. Take the financial burden off your shoulders, invest in your family's health. SMS GAP to 999 555 and we'll contact you. Terms and conditions apply.
All right.
Oranienmund, established in 1936, from which point onwards CDM, now Namdeb Diamond Corporation, provided every service, the schooling, infrastructure and entertainment required for the people of the town. The winds of change is blowing over Oranienmund, which is no longer a closed town.
This ship was commandeered by King Charles III, and he actually sent a knight to Spain to go and fetch some money from investors, because they wanted to go and fetch some spices in India.
When we were kids, the mine delivered milk, bread, and black paper, black plastic bags for your rubbish, and cleaned your garden, did the maintenance of your house. You had furniture already installed in your house.
Time now for Comments Corner, your daily dose of comments from our social media pages. Tonight we look at some of the comments from the recently held 35th COVID-19 update by the head of state, President Harry Geingob, on vaccines and the newly implemented regulations. Jakes asked about the rights of employees that may refuse to take the COVID-19 vaccine and whether they could lose their jobs. Nitros says soldiers could decide to terminate their contracts, which will leave the security of the country in a weak position. Frederick says no to mandatory vaccination. Nadlam asked, why is government forcing people to get vaccinated? While Moses said that he was expecting good news. That is all from Comments Corner. Be sure to post your comments on our social media pages for broadcast only on Today on One.
Hey kids, are you in primary school and want to get extra supplementary maths, English and science lessons? Then invite Learning In with One Africa TV's #LearnOnOne every weekday from 9 to 11 a.m. with repeats from 2 to 4 p.m. And thanks to NMH's MyZone, these lessons are 100% Namibian. There's so much to learn with #LearnOnOne. Invite Learning In.
Time now for today's sports update with Castro Ulumbu.
Welcome to a brand new week of Sports on One. I'm your host, Castro Ulumbu. Bank Windhoek successfully hosted its first long course gala of the season in the capital, where 100 swimmers from 4 different teams participated in 627 events. The two-day event took place at the Olympia swimming pool in Windhoek. Sports on One has more on this story. Manager for National Operations at Bank Windhoek, David Nell, stated that the long course is an event that is used as development for the swimmers. Nell also applauded the Namibia Swimming Federation for presenting an opportunity to those interested in swimming, as he urged more youth to get involved in the sport.
You know, swimmers have waited a long time for this. COVID has put some certain challenges and pressures on it. You know, with certain lockdown restrictions, it makes it difficult for swimmers to prepare. And it's good to see them now in the long course gala again. See them in action, in actual. So obviously, this is good development for our youth. And then they're obviously working towards a higher milestone, a higher goal that they've set for themselves. Hopefully we can see these swimmers in the youth national teams, and hopefully some of them will make it into the national senior teams, and hopefully we'll see them on TV when they're on the Olympics. That's what they're working for. So they're not swimming just for the fun of it. And I think swimming is actually one of the better sports for our youth and the development that is so dearly needed in this country of ours. I do think there's a lot of interest. I just don't think it's always possible for people to get into it. I think maybe they are afraid, maybe lack of information. But I do think NASFED has made a very good attempt in taking the sport and making the sport visible to the country. I think it's a great opportunity for youth to get involved, and I know some of the clubs they've actually went out and to the less fortunate to start baby training and learn to swim, and hopefully once post-COVID, if we can get post-COVID and we get to normalize our lives again, we can get back to that, to get the youth involved, the less fortunate, because I do think this country has immense talent, as we've already seen showcased by certain of our swimmers, which is representing our country on those platforms.
On behalf of the swimming clubs that competed and participated at the event, Yanis Stergidis, coach of the Dolphin Swimming Club, expressed his gratitude towards Bank Windhoek and NASFED for hosting such an event, as according to him, the swimmers had missed being in the pool.
It's mean this season starting now basically for the first gala. Thank you to Bank Windhoek because they make it possible for us to make sure we can do these galas, and sponsoring our galas. So big thank you to Bank Windhoek for the organizer and make sure they can give us the sponsorship. But also to continue with the next gala of the Ghana. Some of those children will leave to the Ghana as well for this swimming championships as well. So our next gala will happening about 2 weeks time, which will be a virtual gala, and obviously we have expectation from swimmers to have better performances. Was the challenges because 2 years the children doesn't swim the long course championships or long course galas. It's mean busy with the further preparation and make sure the kids are getting used to for a long course pool and long course season. Because the long course championships coming up, then obviously another gala is what's coming through the long course season. But challenges in generally, getting more sponsorship for swimming, make sure we get more children involved, and safety first for the swimming and children don't drown.
Aqua Swimming and Fitness Lorenzo Esterhazen was the biggest achiever during the event, as he won in 9 events and secured 1 second place finish. Jessica Humphrey and Rosalinda Machai, also from Aqua Swimming and Fitness, gained 7 first places.
And that is all we have for you tonight. Join us again tomorrow for Sports on One, and don't forget to follow us on our social media pages.
Thanks a lot, Castro, for the latest in sports. Time now for the weather forecast.
A look at the weather forecast, but first an advisory from the Windhoek Met Office. Rains will set in the Zambezi, Kavango East and West, eastern parts of Oshotonjupa and Omaheke regions tomorrow. Strong winds will persist over the interior. The interior part of the country, partly cloudy and hot in the eastern half with a few to isolated thunder showers in the Zambezi, Kavango East and West, eastern part of Oshotonjupa and Omaheke regions, elsewhere sunny and hot. The coast partly cloudy and mild, but hot in the south in the morning. The wind moderate northwesterly but fresh southwesterly in the south in the morning.
With that, we've come to the end of this evening's edition of Today on One. From me, Maggie Forciero, and the rest of the team, till next time, it's good night.
The International University of Management, a Namibian university dedicated to its people's future, a hub of abundant opportunities.
We are IUL for life. We are IUL.
I like rhinos. I like them very much. Future here in this area is depending on the tourism. The future generation, they can see and they can benefit from their own resources. Animals like rhinos, elephants, the big five, you benefit from them and it must be respected. You are not feeding the rhinos, you are not giving them order, so it's a free business. I take two of my sons, which was little bit 5 years old. They were young guys. So they asked me questions. Why are we here? Why are we sleeping here? I told them this is our resources and this is our future.
My first memory of going with my dad is that I learned new things. As I grow up as a man, I see an opportunity in it. So I decided to look for a job pertaining tourism. So that's when I was employed at Palembang. So I decided to go for tour guide studies. Because I grew up with the tourism industry, the wildlife, the rhinos and everything, to bring that experience to the tourists. You can see the hyena. The biggest changes, I was employed, getting paid, and also I can now support my family.
It's a cultural thing. It's coming a long way. Even if you go to area like Tweefontein, area was a lot of paintings. You will see rhino engravings on the rocks. That is an indication that the interaction between human, especially the local communities and wildlife, is dating back. That intimacy relationship is coming for a long time.
We are right here now at Palembang, and Palembang is one of the big lodges in the heart of the desert. And as you can see there is Jumbo standing behind me, which shows it's really a tourist area. We do have elephants, lions, but as you can see, the desert is the heart of the rhinos. This is the main breeding area of the rhinos, is what we found here in this desert.
It's the largest free-roaming population of black rhinos that you find outside national parks in the world. It's a population that communities in the northwest have taken responsibility themselves in managing this population with the structures that government has put in place, more specifically the establishment of conservancies.
These people, before independence, they took it upon themselves and decided that wildlife is our heritage, and through history we've been living with wildlife. And having wildlife in your area is like having a garden.
Because of all these animals, we've got the communities that benefit from all this wildlife, and it's like a triangle that fits into each other. And the communities looked after the wildlife doing their own thing, and the communities benefit.
So already there were this intergenerational relationship between mankind and wildlife, and that bond is what our people actually wanted to see it continuing.
Very few countries have the wildlife that Namibia has. What is also important is the policies that Namibia has put in place, which also involves communities to be engaged in the management of the wildlife species and also to benefit from the wildlife resources.
Turn conservation into a rural economy, turn conservation into endless opportunities that would actually cater for those young people that have nothing else to do.
If it was not for rhino economy and tourism in this area, it was really difficult for young people to get or find a job.
We are conservation engineers. We make conservation work in an unfenced area, and through that, we want to turn the wildlife into the rural economy that will benefit the rural communities.
So we can see now wildlife is doing very well, the lodges are doing well, and the community is also benefiting. So it takes all three together.
Devastating hit over coronavirus fears. Airline industry is facing its biggest threat to travel since 9/11.
Since March, when COVID-19 hit Namibia, things actually become very difficult. In the first place, all the lodges closed down because of COVID-19. With us, say the Rhino Trust, we had some donors cutting on their funding. And then we had, in the same time, a poaching case of 2 rhinos that was poaching. We had less boots on the ground, and poachers could actually see. Now it's all changed to go in and do something. So COVID-19 was tough on all of us. Ginger Morning, who is one of our trustees, actually came up with the idea of, why don't we ask you to go to buy some gold for us and make gold bars, and then we sell them for the rhino conservation.
I was fortunate enough to have a chance to have lunch with Clive Johnson, the CEO of B2 Gold in Vancouver, Canada. And I looked at Clive and I said, we've got rhinos, you've got gold, let's do something. Let's create a coin or a medallion or a bar, using your resource to create a sustainable source of funding for rhino conservation for the future.
There was it. The gold was bought, the bar was made, and I think it was 31st of January that we launched the bars in Windhoek. And suddenly one morning I had an email from my office, from my finance person, saying, these people don't have salaries. So I said, oh, what now? So I picked up my phone and I phoned Mark Law. I said, Mark, I've got this problem. He said, but when we've got the fund already ready for you, you just have to apply, put the proposal in.
1,000 ounces of gold can make an enormous difference to the livelihoods of the communities that live up there. We are, in essence, providing income and providing a livelihood to the communities. In the absence of tourism, especially now with COVID-19, even prior to that, when we had such a bad drought, the communities became even more dependent on the natural economy.
The idea is to make this a fund that will last for the next 25, 30 years, or even longer. And a portion of that will be distributed immediately as needed. And in this case, the COVID-19 crisis necessitated us to distribute funds to pay salaries to help people in the field.
The proceeds of the sales from the gold bars will be going towards responsible NGOs. And we've identified Save the Rhino Trust as the key NGO. And IRDNC, one of the first organizations that was in the Northwest, integrated rural development and nature conservation, so that ultimately the funds go to the communities and various aspects of their war on poaching.
To be able to support those hardworking men and women that are always in the front line between the poachers and the rhinos.
If it was not for B2 Gold and the golden bars, I think by now we should have been in big trouble.
By extracting the gold, you reinvest it in other renewable resources.
The gold that's coming out from the ground is actually protecting the wildlife that's working on the ground, which is a very good symbol for the others.
I wish this was my bar. This is the 500 gram gold bar. So you'll see on this side you've got the Etindeka Mountains and you've got the mother rhino with her calf. And then on the reverse side we've got the serial number. You've got the Rand Refinery stamp, which is very important. Anywhere in the world, people will recognize the stamp and they will know that this bar contains 99.99% gold.
It is gorgeous.
We wanted to make a biggest contribution. And at Ballaward, we see that as a way of giving back to the community.
Okay, so there you'll see the 500 gram bar.
Very special.
Feel the weight. It's incredible.
This opportunity which presented itself is absolutely a once-in-a-lifetime opportunity.
We're privileged to have this.
This is just absolutely gorgeous, and I think this showcases really what the project is all about.
It's from 24 karat Namibian gold.
I'm looking at these rhinos is put there like Miss World photogenic, I would say.
There are only 1,000 of these gold bars, rhino gold bars, in circulation.
As far as I'm aware, it's the largest single donation of any corporate to the conservation of biodiversity anywhere in Africa.
Therefore, we so much appreciate and would want to continue as a government to work with B2 Gold.
And the fact that it's happening here in Namibia is something that we can all be extremely proud about and very grateful to B2 Gold.
Thanks to having this literal pot of gold through the funding for the Rhino Gold Bar, we're able to step in now and make sure that those trackers are supported, and so are their families and their communities.
We make sure that people sustain their jobs going forward, and who doesn't want gold?
And the B2 Gold Rhino Gold Bar has come in at a really critical time now, particularly with tourism being closed off and those forms of revenue not coming in.
To say we have the biggest rhino population or black rhino population in the world, let it be for the rest of our lives. And it's that heritage that we have, it's our resource that we can all look after and protect.
It's our heritage. And it's also good that other people like B2 Gold are also seeing it that way.
It's actually a very nice link between the investor that buys this gold bar, the rhino tracker in the northwest of Namibia, and the black rhinos. It's an intergenerational thing. The rhino trackers teach their children how to track rhinos, their children get taught, and so it flows down.
This is something that I want my children to have, and that we leave a little bit of a B2 Gold legacy. And if I can be part of that as part of my family, I'd be very proud.
It can also become an inheritance for the generations of my own clan. My children, my grandchildren.
If we can bring that passion over to future generations and to hand that over to my children, and I hope that that same passion for conservation gets migrated over to my kids.
And what we've done together is create a sustainable source of funding that should outlive all of us.
You know, I think as far as B2 Gold is concerned, we couldn't have chosen a better target in which to put our efforts as far as the environmental and conservation pillar is concerned. And I want to stress there that the money that's going towards environment and conservation is actually going towards the people.
Rhino is for all of us, whether you are in Canada, whether you are in Vancouver, whether you are in the US. If you really want to see conservation at play with rural communities, I therefore humbly request each and everyone to join us on our rhino tour and have a wonderful experience. This is what keeps rhinos on this planet.
I've done rhino trekking experience. It was just amazing walking in that landscape of the Kunene. And as we followed them, we could now find rhinos with the calf. We got the closest distance we could.
It's a warning sign.
And it was just amazing and lovely, something to experience that Namibia can offer. It's something that you have to do in your life.